Hey, y'all are doing a 7-round mock draft?
Yeah, it's it's gonna be unhinged. Connor and I might just start like sending the link to people to pop on with us and like make 10 picks and then just say what's happening.
The NFL draft's like a week away, so it's collab season, and I got PFF zone, NFL Stock Exchange zone. Trevor Sickman, how are you doing, Trev?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to pop on with you. I'm glad that we were able to make some time here before the draft. It was awesome getting to meet you in person for the first time at the Senior Bowl this year. So that was really cool. And obviously saying what's up there. It was like, oh, okay, we got a collab again this year. And it's like, man, and now we're getting to the point where it's crunch time. And I'm glad that we're getting it in, man. This is good stuff. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is going to be excellent. You're going to be taking the odd picks. I'll be taking the even. That way you get the Bucks. You get to draft for my Dolphins. It's going to be great.
A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Hey, Jalen Ramsey trade, apparently.
Oh, no.
Freaking A, dude. I love being a Dolphins fan. But with that being said, I guess it's an easy pick at one for you, huh?
Yeah, this is a super easy pick. Now, we're doing what we would do here.
Let's do what we would do.
Okay. So this doesn't really change to me. I have Travis Hunter as my number one overall player. I would love to be able to take Travis Hunter here, but the Titans and how they went about free agency, I mean, if I don't take a quarterback, I mean, that's insane because they don't really have one on the roster unless you really believed in Will Levis. And I think that Will Levis had every opportunity to be the long-term starting quarterback of this team. And he didn't take that by the reins last year. I think it was way too up and down. And so I'm still going to go Cam Ward here. I think Cam Ward is, for as much as his floor is maybe a little bit lower than you would want for a number one overall pick quarterback, I at least think that he presents you with an all-pro type of a ceiling if he hits it. So I'm still going to go Cam Ward here for the Titans at one.
I was like, don't throw a loop in right at the beginning, bro.
I mean, isn't that what you want? Then they get, they give the people what they want. Absolute chaos at the very top. No, I couldn't do it there.
Well, that makes, I feel like this pick was easy for the Browns, regardless. You're going to come away with a really good prospect. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter. I've been sold on Travis Hunter because I was more of an Abdul Carter guy for the last few months for the Browns, but I mean, whether you see him as a receiver or a corner, I guess the Browns maybe more so wide receiver, but you look at their contracts next year. Yeah, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, they're due for contracts. So I think it's just a good fit, whatever he plays.
I think he'll be able to play both for him, right? I mean,
he wants to, or else he's quitting.
Yeah, man. I say, what was the quote? Game over, I think is what he said. If somebody doesn't let him play both, which is a little harsh, but it was Andrew Berry, the general manager at the Combine, said that they see Travis Hunter more as a wide receiver, but that they believe he could play both. So I agree with you. I think that he could absolutely step into one of those corner spots. I think he's maybe even wide receiver one right off the bat. All respect to Jerry Jeudy, but I agree. I think this is the way that they should go here, and it feels like that's the way the draft's going to go too.
Absolutely. Before we get back to today's video, I gotta give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. When you download the app and sign up using promo code BROSHMO, they match that first deposit up to $1,000. Redo and currently for the NBA playoffs, they have the extender. Ooh, as an NBA series goes longer, your profit boost gets larger. Let me run it down for you real quick. For instance, you will boost your profit 40% by using a Game 1 token. Using your Game 1 token now unlocks your Game 2 token, and you could use each of the following profit boost tokens to unlock the next, and it gets up to 100% for Game 7. But hey, it's not just the NBA playoffs. They got best ball currently. You could draft rookies. That's cool. That's fun. But I'm a big favorite of the higher or lower on player stats. They have promos each and every day. It's just a fun way to play, but as always, play responsibly, play within your means, and if you do download the app, you best believe you sign it up with promo code BROSHMO. Now at number 3.
Yeah, this is, you talked about like we get some trades in here. This is where you really start to think about trades because I like Abdul Carter a lot. I've got no problem just taking Abdul Carter here at number 3. But if the Giants aren't taking Shedeur, which I'm not as high on Shedeur, so I wouldn't be considering him here within the top 3, I'd also look at trading back. So you pick for the Panthers at 8. I think about that if you thought the Panthers maybe would want to trade up for an Abdul Carter, or there's another trade that I could go with, and that is the Niners giving the Giants a first round pick next year to move up from 11 to 3 to go get Abdul Carter. Those are the two that I'm thinking about.
That would be nice. Now, do you think the Giants would still be in the Shedeur market in a trade back?
So that's the thing is like, if they're really interested in Shedeur, they could get from 3 to 8 and you're still picking in front of New Orleans. And so you could still potentially take Shedeur there, depending on if New Orleans really is interested in him at number 9. And then at number 11, like, yeah, okay, New Orleans is sitting there. You have to get past New Orleans. But if he does, then yeah, I think that I get more comfortable with Shedeur the further down the board we get, obviously. I just think that, like, to take him over, I would go with either of these trades. I would trade back to number 8. I would trade back to number 11, or I would draft Abdul Carter over the Shedeur Sanders option. So that's sort of where I'm at with that. But if you feel compelled as the Panthers to trade up, then we could do that. But if not, then I think I'm going to have them trading back from 3 to 11.
I think, well, from 3 to 11, then there is that inherent risk of missing out on Shedeur if that is going to be the guy for them. I don't know. Maybe they're Jackson Dart people, but
Whew.
Dude, didn't Mel have a mock where he went ahead of Shedeur at 9?
Oh, if he did, I missed it. Oh no, Mel.
Like, I don't know what to think about this quarterback. Like, I'm getting like 2022 vibes. Like, we're hearing all this like buzz.
Yeah.
And one quarterback will go in the first round.
I feel like it's going to be closer to 2022. I think Cam Ward's obviously going 1. I think one other quarterback will go in the first round. But for as much as like we're hearing Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe or Tyler Shuck, like some heat for those guys, I think they're all going to be day 2 guys. I don't think they're going to be round 1 guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say the Panthers would probably want to make that trade because I love I get edge for them almost all the time anyway. At that 8th pick, if you could get Abdul Carter, then send it. So trade package for that is actually kind of pricey to move up. I'm just using the draft trade chart.
Right. I think you'd have to give at least a 3rd rounder this year and a 2nd rounder next year.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's sort of the framework that I've operated with when I've done this trade before.
Yeah. Okay. Be down with that. So 3rd this year, 2nd next year.
Yeah. That's to move down 5 spots, and for them to go up and get Abdul Carter. Yeah, that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, that's a big win for I think the Panthers, because they don't have an elite pass rusher on that squad. Clowney's nice, but I feel Wonham and Jones, these Viking, not cast-offs, but I think they're good like complements, rotational pieces. But Carter's just him, as the young kids say.
I agree. Okay, so Panthers, you're trading up. You're taking Carter at 3. So, you're still on the board because it even number pick.
Yeah,
so you're still up with the Patriots.
I don't want this Patriots pick. I just don't want it. I forgot about that.
Can't help you here.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like at least the general consensus is Will Campbell here. But if we're doing what I would do, I've flirted with the idea, and I think this is too high, but maybe like a Tyler Warren. I know they brought back Austin Cooper, but I mean, it's McDaniels. They're going to be running 2 tight ends out there. I'm still a big Tet guy, Tetaroa.
Me too. I am too.
That's And I sense that there's going to be good value if you see like a Josh Simmons, a Josh Connerly, they might be available early in the second round. So I think that I will probably go with Tetero and McMillan here.
He is my number 3 overall player. So I am right there with you. Like, I think that he should be in consideration for the number 4 overall pick. It doesn't feel like he is. It feels like he's much more of like a middle of the first round pick for the NFL. But I think that's just nitpicking on him, man. I think certainly from what we can tell on this side of things, without, interviewing him and talking to him and things like that, hard to not love this dude in the top 10. So I'm with you here.
Yeah. And I mean, people bring up like, oh, we haven't seen a receiver that ran a 4.5 or more in the top 10. It's like, well, Drake London didn't run.
Right. And if he did, he would have, like he would have been in the 4.5s. Yeah.
All right. You're here with the Jags.
Okay. Mason Graham's the obvious.
Yes.
With him being here. I will say I'd consider Walter Nolan here. Like, I have Mason Graham as my 4th overall prospect, and I have Walter Nolan as my 8th overall prospect. But it's not really that much of a difference. And I would tell you that Walter Nolan is a lot more athletically and physically gifted than Mason Graham is. So I think that Nolan should be in the conversation here. It really just comes down to, with these two guys, who do you think has a higher ceiling as a pass rusher? And I think I would still go Graham. So I'm going to take Graham here at 5, but I wanted to at least just throw it out there that I think Walter Nolan should be in consideration even for the same position. I think that these guys are extremely talented. They're built very differently, and I think their games are different, but Graham, I have more faith in for him to develop as a pure pass rusher type of a player at the next level. So I will still go with Mason Graham here at number 5.
Yeah, I feel to some degree it's kind of like a similar situation of the Jaguars were in when it was like Aiden Hutchinson and Trevon Walker. Obviously not similar prospects, but like you have the more toolsy, potentially higher upside player, and then you have, well, one with shorter arms but hella good production in Aiden Hutchinson. So I'm cool with either of those guys. I'm pretty high on Walter Nolan myself.
Yeah, I would have considered Tet here. I really would have. If he's on the board, getting him and Brian Thomas Jr., I mean, you feel very good about that wide receiver duo moving forward.
Yeah, and it's Liam Cohen, right? I'm sure he wants his first pick to be offense.
Yes, right.
So I saw a little bit on the X this morning that the Raiders, it's smoke and mirror season, so take everything with a grain of salt, but the Raiders are considering Armand Membou, and I was like, I didn't think DJ Glaze was that bad last year. I thought he was pretty good for a 3rd rounder.
It is kind of funny. Normally fan bases want you to give credit to their offensive line. Like, I always feel as though, because look, I try to watch as much as I possibly can with all these teams, especially during the season, but there's only so much you can watch. And some things just sort of fall through the cracks. Offensive line play for certain teams is one of those areas that it's really tough to make sure that you know exactly what's going on in the offensive lines of every team. And, with the data and the grades and everything that we had, I was like, okay, like, I feel like the Raiders' offensive line isn't bad. They've got an interior, like Jordan Meredith played well at points last season. Jax Powers-Johnson's going to be a good interior player for them. I like Dylan Parham. And that's a really good interior for them. And then with offensive tackles, like, you've got Cole Miller, and then it's like, all right, well, who's next? Is DJ Glaze? And I was like, yeah, but I feel like he didn't play that bad. And every time I feel like I say that on a mock, Raiders fans say, no, their offensive line was not nearly as good as you were saying it was. They need to think about Armand Membou here. He should be the pick for them at number 6. And I didn't think offensive line was at nearly that bad, but perhaps they do. And John Spytek comes over. He's their new general manager. He comes over from Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay consistently prioritized offensive line. So maybe it's just a philosophy where they might be drafting Armand Membou anyways, even if DJ Glaze isn't the worst offensive tackle in the world, if they think Armand Membou is that good, maybe that's enough for them.
Yeah, and I think specifically, or at least where Raider fans are getting that is they didn't feel great about the run block in there. Because I was actually, because I like going through analytics. Analytics is fun. I think they were 30. They were last in the league when it came to yards before contact for running backs.
Yeah.
So, but even then, I looked at that interior. It's like, okay, well, Parham, yeah, I get it. He's undersized, not the strongest guy. Might not get like that push, but I mean, you're bringing in Chip Kelly. You're gonna get some movement along that line. But I'm not worried about that. I'm taking Ashton Genty.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. All that to say, Ashton Genty.
Yeah, because I felt like I had to build up the offensive line for where Raiders fans think it is. I think it's ascending. You should expect guys like Glaze and Jackson Powers Johnson to take that next step in year 2. So, like, what are we doing here?
Sure. Jets on the clock at 7 now. I got the Jets. I am going to take Armand Membu now with him still being on the board. I just like the idea of them solidifying the offensive line more so than taking Tyler Warren. I think it's going to be Tyler Warren or Armand Membu. If Tet was on the board, I'd think about him here. You could think about corner, but again, I'm much more comfortable going with Membu than I am any of the corners that we have there. And you set up a pretty good offensive line of Olu Fashanu at left, and then you got John Simpson, you got Joe Tippmann, you got AVT, and then you got Armand Membu right there. I mean, like that's ideal. That's what you would want, especially for an offense that I think is going to get faster naturally with their quarterback now being Justin Fields. You want to have offensive linemen that can really move and get into space, and Fashanu and Membu are two guys who know how to do that at a pretty good level. So I'll go with Membu here over the tight end spot of Tyler Ward Tyler Warren.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Glenn, he's coming from Detroit. He saw what the trenches mean.
Yes, he did.
I'm going to be honest with this Giants pick. I have no idea what to do. Like in hindsight, if I'm the Giants, I don't think I want to trade back. And let this pick has to be Shador if you're trading back.
You think?
I think so. I mean, I made the point. I was like, well, I want to stay in front of the Saints if we're going to make this the Shador Sanders pick, because you can't really do anything else with it. Any other prospect, and then it just feels like, well, we should just stay put in. Went with Abdul Carter. So
I think I would say Walter Nolan's still a good pick for them, right? Because if you have the front four of Walter Nolan, Big Dex, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, that's pretty nasty. So I think you feel pretty good about that. Or like Will Campbell, right? I mean, if you draft Will Campbell, maybe he's a starting guard for you. Maybe he's a starting tackle for you, depending on what you want to do with Jermaine Illuminor. They didn't, from what I understand, it wasn't really plan A to bring back Greg Van Roten. They just sort of struck out with some other free agents. They wanted Will Fries, so they brought him back, but it's not like it was like, oh yeah, we were bringing him back all along to bring back this offensive line. So I think Campbell's immediately a starter for them at tackle or guard. So I think that this still could work out for you if it's not Shador. But like you said, like if you feel good about, hey, we got an extra 3rd round pick and a 2nd rounder next year and we still get to draft Shador Sanders, then I think that you at least feel better about, instead of drafting Shador at 3, having an extra 3rd and a 2nd round pick and drafting Shador Sanders at number 8. So
yeah, and I mean, it comes down to do they really need to be that competitive next year, or is everyone getting fired? Shador isn't really the competitive pick, right?
Yeah.
So I like that you brought up Walter Nolan. I always wondered about, like, why'd they bring back Van Roten? This dude's 34. Let him rest.
Yeah, they didn't. From what I have learned, it wasn't like their plan A. They kind of had some other avenues, and they just got outbid for certain free agents, and it just didn't work out. Yeah,
and you know what? They acquired, depending on what you do at 9, they acquired more draft capital if they want to make a move back up into the 1st round. If Shador slips, or maybe for another quarterback, they do have that.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Will Campbell.
Okay. All right. We're going Will Campbell. All right. So we're solidifying the offensive line a little bit more. I like that for the New York. Again, they trade down. They still get a really good football player. Damn, I was thinking about
Campbell for the Saints.
I was thinking about Campbell for the Saints.
you like the NFL draft. Matter of fact, you love the NFL draft, which means you're going to love my draft guide. If you want to know every player your team drafts or even signs as an undrafted free agent, then this is for you. My draft guide updates every day, and you'll be able to see those updates in real time as I add new evals and player backgrounds. It'll have analytics from this year and last year. It'll have the pro day and combine numbers. It'll even have my notes from the senior and shrine bowl. It's a one-time purchase of $30 via PayPal, Venmo, or the Cash App. You can check out the pinned comment or the description if you want to follow those links. And when you do purchase it, please be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to require email. Don't make me hunt it down because I will hunt you down. I will find you and I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Anywho, thanks for supporting the channel.
Shedeur, obviously, like he's sort of in the conversation on the board. Depending on what happened, I don't really understand what's going on with Derek Carr because people.
I just know he's gone after next year. That's it.
Yeah. So maybe you're just getting ahead of it anyways and drafting Shedeur. It's early for me.
Garrett Nussmeier next year. Reunite him with dad.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you got some other quarterback options next year. You might feel a little bit better about, especially if you're turning the page. But man, the Saints also were not good in pass protection last year. So Shedeur behind an offensive line that can't pass protect is not ideal. I just don't like the scenario for him here. I think I might be going Walter Nolan just for talent's sake. Yeah, let's go. Wait a second.
Uh-oh. We're on to something.
All right, I'm gonna go mad scientist here. I'm drafting Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
That is mad scientist.
Who I think could have been OT1 in this class. Same conversation as Armand Membou if he would have played a fully healthy season. It was a meniscus tear, not an ACL tear, so it's not as bad for him. I think he has the ceiling of an all-pro type of offensive tackle. I think Josh Simmons can play left tackle for you. I think you can move Talise Fuanga back to right tackle where he played mostly when he was at Oregon State. And then I think you can kick Trevor Penning inside and you don't have to play him one-on-one with edge rushers on the outside. And then all of a sudden your interior offensive line is Eric McCoy, Trevor Penning, Cesar Ruiz. And then your two tackles are Josh Simmons and Talise Fuanga.
I like that.
I'm going mad scientist. I am a Josh Simmons believer again. So it's like, I think of him and if he's fully healthy, he's in the same conversation as what we talk about with Armand Membou, in my opinion. So I think that we should talk about him in the same range if the medicals check out from him. And I haven't heard anything about the medicals not checking out. So I'm building in the trenches and I'm making sure the trenches are as good as they could possibly be for maybe them drafting a quarterback a little bit later. Maybe it is Derek Carr. Maybe it's them drafting a quarterback next season. I'm going Simmons here.
Nice. I like that. Simmons, yeah, definitely be higher on more consensus boards if not for the injury. On a side note, do you know any of the character stuff with him?
I haven't. I heard like whispers of like, all right, people like might not love his attitude or something. But again, like I can't speak to that. I've never interviewed him. I've never talked to him. So I can't. And I've only it's just been like whispers of that. And we know this time of year, you hear all sorts of whispers about people. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, what?
This
man's been hurt half the year. What are we talking about?
I was going to say, I hadn't really heard anything concrete on that. I really haven't.
Okay. We got the Chicago Bears. There's a plethora of different things you do here. It'd be really fun if Ashton Genty was here, but that's not the situation. You got Ben Johnson there. I think they did a good job with the defensive line in free agency. You could argue for the offensive line as well. I have no idea what they want to do with Braxton Jones. With it being Ben Johnson, maybe we get a little bit more 12 personnel. I think I'm going to go with Tyler Warren.
I think they're going to love him. Yeah.
Yeah, Bears are in kind of weird
Warren
spot.
Makes sense to me. A little bit, but they're in. I wouldn't call it weird. I think it's good, right? I mean, like it's a little weird for like mock drafts because you don't know exactly what to give somebody. But I
Well, nowadays
Warren.
kids say, hey, weird can be a good thing.
Weird can be a good thing.
I guess
think
there's a lot of
Chicago.
options.
Yes, there are definitely a lot of options here for what the Bears could do. They spoke very highly of Tyler Warren. When they were at the owners' meetings, and Ben Johnson was saying, I was asking Dennis Allen about a guy like Tyler Warren, and he's like, man, he just puts so much stress on defenses. Like for me as a defensive coordinator going up against a guy like that, I think that, in my opinion, I think it's going to be either Ashton Genty or Tyler Warren, who goes to Chicago, number 10. The Niners at number 11 now. Could have used Josh Simmons, not gonna lie.
They should be all in on trenches.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with Walter Nolan here. Because I clearly like Walter Nolan a lot more than like a Kelvin Banks. I think he could be an option for them too. If Josh Simmons or Armand Membu was on the board, I think you think about them. But to me, it's got to be either defensive or offensive line, and Walter Nolan is the next best defensive lineman that I have in my ranking. So getting him at 11, I think they'd feel pretty good about this.
Okay, Walter Nolan, there you go. Yeah, that's one of my favorite landing spots because none of the tackles make it here in any box I do. So it's like, let's go going with the defense.
Yeah.
We get the Dallas Cowboys. No Terrell McMillan. Got no Genty. Not even Will Campbell to think about.
Right.
Jahad Campbell could be interesting.
Yes, I think that Campbell is probably the best pick for them. Now, are they going to do it? Probably not. I think Jerry wants to go sexy this year. I think he's going wide receiver at 12. Yeah. I really do. I think that's what they're going to do. But if in like a what I would do mock draft, I'd probably take Campbell. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, because this could be where Tetero falls, or could be a golden spot. I'm actually gonna go with Jahdae Barron.
Okay.
I'm gonna have him play. Well, you never know with I think Teron Diggs is coming off an injury. Deron Bland, he was a slot before he played on the outside. And Barron, you get a little bit of alignment versatility. Don't know where these guys are at any time.
I love Jahdae Barron. Obviously I have him as a top 10 player in this class. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, man. A lot of people are like, they like him, don't love him, or they love him.
Yeah. I'm all in. I'm all in on the versatility. I think he's fast enough. I think he's smart enough. I think he tackles well. I think he's a very good competitor. And Steve Sarkisian said, I think this quote was like from a year ago. He's like, I don't think people understand like what we put on this guy's plate. Like we ask him to do so many different things. And this is when he was a slot defender. They're like, we ask him to do so many different things, defend the run a certain way, have different leverages against different wide receivers, a lot of different slot assignments. So I'm in, man. I love Jahdae Barron. So I like this.
And that 2023 season, I think he had like a plethora of touchdowns, whether it was like an interception, a fumble. I think he had like a block return. He's just a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Your Dolphins now at 13.
What's up, baby?
I think they need O-line badly.
Yeah.
I think Kelvin Banks is a good option for them. I think interior defensive line, like Kenneth Grant's an option for them. And then I would say Will Johnson now, with the uncertainty with Jalen Ramsey.
Even before Kelvin that, Banks. It's not like they have a reliable corner too. We're just a mess.
I think I'm gonna go with Kelvin Banks because I think he at least starts for you immediately at guard, and he can kick out to tackle if you need him to kick out to tackle at some point throughout his rookie contract. So I'm tempted by Will Johnson because especially, like you said, even before the Jalen Ramsey trade talks, but now specifically with them allowing him to seek a trade somewhere. Corner is very high on their board, and I think that they would like Johnson, but I'll go Kelvin Banks. I'm going to go. They've neglected the trenches too much for me to feel comfortable not taking Kelvin Banks here at 13.
Yeah, I'm all for Tua's sake, keeping him upright and having protection for him. And I mean,
Yes.
our run game took such a step back last year too. I mean, a lot of that was injuries, but I don't know, man. I don't know. As a Dolphins fan, they can't hurt me anymore. I'm dead inside. Got the Indianapolis Colts, and this could be another fun Jahad Campbell spot. They lost EJ Speed, right? I think he went.
Yes, they don't have him anymore.
Texans?
Yep.
Bears?
No, where did he go? Where did EJ Speed go? EJ Speed he did go to the Texans. There you go. You got to trust your gut. You got to trust your gut there.
Right,
you got it right. Yeah,
a lot of moving parts this offseason.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the timeline for the injury is. I mean, I feel like regardless, probably comfortable with like, oh no, this is kind of a future play anyway. Even if he is starting the back half of the season. Just trying to think if there's anywhere else I want to go. Actually, I think I might go with Derek Harmon.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because DeForest Buckner's 31. Grover Stewart's fine, but behind them, they don't have much. They have my boy Adetomiwa Adebari still on the roster. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But Derek Harmon.
Were you high on him when he was coming out?
That's where I learned play strength mattered on the interior. Like I just didn't take that into account as much. It's a process. You learn something new every year.
100%, man. That's why doing this is very fun. I'm with you.
Yeah. But I think I'm gonna go with Harmon. You could sell me on Loveland here, but I just don't know how much that'll matter if it's Richardson starting and he's throwing the ball 20 times a game. Like, how valuable is that really?
Yeah.
And I get it, their tight end room wasn't that good anyway, but still. And I don't know if I trust that even more with Danny Dimes if he's the guy. If he's the guy, I think that coaching staff is just done after this season. I think it's just all kinds of trouble. It's Anthony Richardson or nothing.
That's what I think. I agree. If Anthony Richardson doesn't work out, I don't think that this regime is going to be around to figure out who is going to work out. So, okay, you're going Derek Harmon?
I'm going to go with Derek Harmon. Go with Derek Harmon.
Falcons at 15. Campbell, Mike Green, Donovan Izaraku, Will Johnson. Man, all these guys, such great choices for them.
The whole edge class.
Basically, yeah, the whole edge class is basically left for them. I would pick Mike Green here. So I'm going to go with Mike Green. I don't think the Falcons are. I think they are much higher on the investments that they've made, right? Like Ruka Rororo, Brandon Dorless, Braylon Trice. Like having those guys on the roster, I think that they're willing to allow those guys some time or at least another year to sort of solidify themselves as potential starters. So I don't think they think they're as desperate for defensive line in the first round. I think if we were predicting this, I would say that they would pick Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson would be the guy there, or potentially Malachi Starks, with Starks still being on the board. But that's the direction that I would go for them if I was predicting it. But ultimately, I wasn't the biggest Braylon Trice fan. I think that Brandon Dorless is more of an interior defensive lineman. I think the same with Ruka Rororo. So I don't really see a difference-making pass rusher. So I would draft Mike Green. So I'm going to draft Mike Green for Marshall here at 15.
Absolutely. Big fan of Mike Green. Yeah, man, I just don't get that. It's like, really got nobody to rush the passer, and all these other guys kind of, they feel like more interior players. Right.
I'm with you. I agree. That's why maybe they're fooling us, sort of like they did last year, I guess, with the Penix pick. Maybe it's going to be trenches, but from the way they have been talking, it seems like they're okay with at least not drafting a defensive lineman in the first round. So we'll see. Yeah.
We are creeping closer to that Steelers pick. So we might want to think about potential trade up spots because we still got Shador on the board, right?
Ooh, I think we do have Shador on the board. Yeah.
So
we do indeed.
Just going to throw that sucker out there. But if I'm the Cardinals, I want to address the front seven. I mean, they've done some good things with Sweat. They got Tomlinson. That's awesome. They drafted Darius Robinson, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Golly.
They signed Calais Campbell back too. He's back home.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Golly. So I think they could still go edge, but they brought back Barron. I don't feel great about the outside of like Mac Wilson, who honestly I thought overplayed his contract last year. I was like, wow. I don't feel great about their linebacking core. I think I will take Jahad Campbell here.
Okay. All right. Jahad Campbell there as the off ball in the middle of that John Gannon defense. Bengals. See, here, this is a spot where like I would be tempted with the Steelers trading up. Man, what about? No, they wouldn't do it with the Browns. I'm thinking about like, what about like an even bigger trade up? Like, what if the Giants got back involved? You know what I'm saying? Where it's like,
I mean, you acquire that draft capital
to be able to move. Because okay, what's the draft value chart?
Yeah, because that's the thing. If it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg, you might as well just took them at 8, right?
Right, but let's see. Giants, okay, 560 is their point value for 34. The Bengals, okay, so that would be another 400. So they would basically have to give up a second round pick value, which they would have Carolina's third. They would be giving up 34. Oh man. So if they gave up 34 and next year's second, okay, and maybe I don't know, maybe a pick a little bit later as well, like maybe like I don't know, 154, 219, something like that, fifth to seventh round, whatever.
Throw and pick. If
they did that to jump up to the Bengals spot at 17, then the Bengals would get an extra second round pick next year. And then, maybe a 4th round pick this year. So they get an extra 4th round pick this year and then an extra 2nd round pick next year. The Giants would then have moved. They would turn number 3 overall and number 34 overall into Will Campbell, Shedeur Sanders, and an extra 3rd round pick this year.
Yeah. That feels like a good play.
That's not, I've never, again, like that's a little mad scientist. I don't know if the Bengals would do that because you're dropping all the way from 17 to 34. Maybe that would just be too much, but.
I mean, if the price is right, even if they have to throw in an extra pick there, it still feels relatively cheap for the Giants.
Yeah. And I don't know how much they would do on top of that. Now I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to stick here and stick with the Bengals at 17. Let's go. Let's do Gray Zabel here. Yeah. They need interior offensive line help. They absolutely need one more starting guard, and they do not have one right now. They can't go into next season with their current offensive line the way that it is. It just was not good enough. So Zabel, I think he'd start at center for you. I think he start at left guard. I think he start at right guard. We're going Gray Zabel here to the Bengals at 17. Again, I don't know if they would do that because they're not really a small school drafting type of team, but I am. So Gray Zabel to the Bengals.
They're trying to replace North Dakota State guard anyway. So
who? Well, wait. Yeah, you're right. That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
So Zabel was gonna be my pick for the Seahawks.
It's like understandably.
It's like my favorite pick for the Seahawks too.
Yeah.
I'm not good with audibles. You know what though? Let me just check their roster real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I got an idea. I'm thinking Will Johnson with him.
I was going to say they have talked about drafting corner. And if you have Will Johnson, Tariq Woolen, and Devon Witherspoon, that's pretty damn good. I know they still have Josh Jobe, but Jobe's going into the last year of his contract. No guarantee that he's even there after this season.
Oh, it's Joe. He's fine.
Right.
But
Right. He's fine.
As a starter. Does the timeline work out for when Will Johnson was a freshman that Mike McDonald was there at Michigan?
Ooh, great question.
I think he probably left maybe the year before Johnson showed up.
Yes, he was their defensive coordinator the year before they showed up. So he would have been involved in maybe recruiting Will Johnson.
Hey, just connecting all the necessary dots.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Will Johnson. Like that.
Okay. All right. We're going Will Johnson here. I haven't seen this one before, but I don't hate it. Sprinting the card in for this one at number 19, Donovan Ezeraku for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he's perfect for them. Think he's a great run defender. He's a very proven pass rusher. He was bigger than I thought he was going to measure in at the combine. He tested as well as I wanted him to, and he's got the production. And when I sat there and I listened to his combine podium presser, I was just so impressed with how he approaches the position and pass rushing and everything that goes into it. So Donovan Ezeraku, I think he's going to be high on Tampa's board, but he's certainly high on mine as well. So he is my top pick here for them in basically every single scenario. The only player that I would pick over Donovan Ezeraku is Jihad Campbell if he makes it to 19. And outside of that, realistically, of course,
Yeah.
He's my guy here at 19 outside of that.
Nice. Those shorter edges with 34-inch arms just blow my mind.
What do you like the height? Like he's
just the height. It's
lower
like
in height, and then he's got the length.
Yeah, and then it's like when it comes to like offensive tackles, it's like you're 6'6" and you got like sub 32-inch arms.
Yeah.
How does this work?
I don't know. That's good. That's good observation.
Do you think the Broncos might be willing to trade this back? If I'm the Giants, I'm getting antsy.
Ooh.
Reports are Mike Tomlin likes Shador.
Yeah, let's explore this. Let's see. The Broncos. Let's see where's the Giants?
The Giants would be up here, 34.
Oh yeah, 34. Okay, so they could take 34. They have Carolina's extra third rounder, which is nice. So you could trade up to 20.
About 300.
Is it 300? Is that what the value?
Yeah, it's like 290.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So for this one, shoot, you could give up. I mean,
you give up 65 and be really close.
Yeah, let's just give up 65.
Yeah, and I mean,
because you already got 2/3. You already have Carolina's pick.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Yeah.
Right.
34 and 65 for 20. I mean, you could throw in one of the 7th round picks if you wanted to, but whatever.
Yeah.
So now we got the Giants up, and you're taking Shador.
Yeah. And I mean, this will be good for the media. At least it'll inspire some hope. A little bit. Hey, it might be a placebo effect, but sometimes having that hope on the bench, and maybe if you have a 7-win season, maybe you get the front office, Dayball back. Who's to say?
So navigating this the way that they did, the Giants turned the number 3 overall pick and the number 34 overall pick into Will Campbell, Shedeur Sanders, a 2nd rounder next year, and the same amount of picks that they had this year. It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Will Campbell, Shedeur Sanders, an extra 2nd round pick next year, just because of how they navigated the draft.
Not half a bad.
Steelers 21.
So do you think Aaron Rodgers is personally going to walk up the pick here?
Basically. Yeah, at this point, that's what I really think. I'll go with Kenneth Grant. I think that they need a succession plan for Cam Hayward. I don't quite think that's Keanu Benton, although I like Keanu Benton. I think he could be a starter for you. I don't think he's quite the guy that you want, taking the torch from Cam Hayward. I think that Kenneth Grant is much more built in that way. Really good run defender, moves very well, has super quick feet for a guy who's about 335, 340 pounds, gives you a little bit of extra juice in pass rush. He can hold the point of attack very well because of his size. And so I think he's nimble for a big man. And I always like that. Trey still do the big man stuff. And I think Kenneth Grant can. So I'll go with him here at 21.
Nice. Whew. Okay, so just like that, all the defensive interiors are off the board. That's a place I like to go for the Chargers. I think they could also be in market for an edge. Maybe not in the first round, but maybe day 2. Take advantage of a good edge class. You got Khalil Mack for another 2 years. Thule, but I guess this is pass catcher. Would I go Burden or Golden, or would Harbaugh just be like, hey, I know that guy. Oh, sorry, Tyler Conklin. You're here for 2 years. Oh, well. We're going to take Loveland.
Is that who you're going with?
Yeah, I don't know how you go anywhere else. I feel Loveland's probably going to go higher than this, too.
Yeah, it does feel as though his hype is a little bit higher. That he's more of like a top 20 type of a dude. But obviously, if he makes it to 22, Jim Harbaugh knows him very well. So.
Oh, yeah. Help Herbert. Help Herbert.
I think 23 is going to be a wide receiver. I really do, especially with the board breaking the way that it has. I think Luther Burden's the best out of the guys that are here. So let's pick Luther Burden. Some people might look at this current Packers wide receiver room and think that's a little bit of redundancy with slot and Z play from Jaden Reed. But man, I think that there is a world where a year from now, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, none of them are on the team. I think that is fully possible that a year from now, all 3 of those wide receivers are gone. And if not all 3 of them, one of them might remain. And it's going to basically just be whoever you're drafting here at 23 and Jaden Reed. Like that is going to be your wide receiver room that you're going to build around. So I'm not really worried about redundancy. I just want overall talent. Luther Burden is my number 2 wide receiver in this draft. I think he could be an excellent NFL wide receiver. I'm going to have him at 23 here to the Packers.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, shoot, we talked about this dude in the top 10 because of his 2023 tape. I imagine that guy's still somewhere in there.
Yeah, 100% it is. Yes, I do think that guy is in there.
Oh, geez, Minnesota Vikings. I would love to trade this pick back, obviously, but that means someone coming up to get somebody.
I don't know who's.
Yeah, it's a problem. I don't know who's coming up to get who.
Like maybe a quarterback, right? I mean, like that's.
Oh gosh, stop.
We didn't have the Browns take one at 2, so I look. I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. It's what we would do mock draft, so I don't think that's happening. But
yeah,
I don't really know if anybody else is enticing you to make a.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if a team sees like Burn come off the board, if you're really sold on a Golden or a Buka, maybe you make that play. But I don't think I'd make that play. I'm probably just gonna stick it and pick it and take Malachi Starks.
Okay, yeah, I think that's an excellent pick for them.
Yeah, yep. They brought you got Smith back, but he's like what 36?
No, I mean I think he's like. Not quite, but he's not that far off. He's got to be 34, right?
Yeah, I mean, he feels a bit ageless. But even then, they like having their 3 safety sets. Metellus, they're playing in the slot. They brought back or re-signed, was it Theo Jackson? Former tight end 7th round pick. And
yes,
I didn't know he did much for them. I'm very ignorant on the ability and the play of Jackson. So I don't. He's a bit of a question mark for me, but I like the versatility of Starks.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's your safety of the future there, and he's exactly what Brian Flores would want sort of on the back end to be able to do a lot of different stuff. Texans at 25, I almost just default to offensive tackle every single time for them, but here I am not going to do that. I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka because I can't trust what Tank Dell is going to be coming back from his knee injury. Christian Kirk is fine, but I think he was disappointing during his time in Jacksonville. Now he's a little bit older. Who's to say you want to rely on him as your wide receiver too? They have John Mechie, who I think is good, but I think, again, like a wide receiver 3 type of a player. I think that Christian Kirk's more of a wide receiver 3. I think Justin Watson's more of a wide receiver 4. I think the same about Braxton Berrios. You need a wide receiver 2. You need a guy who you could put on the field and feel really great about it. with Nico Collins and reuniting Emeka Egbuka with CJ Stroud, who were able to put together great numbers 3 years ago when they were both on the same team at Ohio State. I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka here at number 25.
Most definitely. Yep. Reunited, and it feels so good.
Yes.
And I imagine Stroud's going to be in the ear of somebody. I mean, if he could say, hey, I like Tank Dell, take Tank Dell, I imagine he could do that for Egbuka, right?
Yeah, I'll do 100% he can. Yes.
The Los Angeles Rams. I always default on this is going to be a pick that helps support that Super Bowl window. And maybe not necessarily like a future pick, like someone that's going to be an immediate impact and play a ton. So I don't know if a wide receiver does that. I would love to see them make a move for Loveland, but I think that means they would have to move up and make that move. I think I'm going to go with Jalen Walker here.
Yeah, they would love Jalen Walker.
Yeah. I mean, they're running out essentially like 5-man fronts for the most part. So I know a lot of that is some interior play, but shoot, if he could play a little off ball, that's awesome. If he could just stand out there and pin his ears back and go, that's awesome as well. I believe Byron Young will be due for a contract soon. Even if you bring him back, kind of is what it is, man. Pass rush. You can never have too many pass rushers.
And yeah, I think that he's great as an off-ball linebacker, or he's and a good option, a good bet to make is sort of this like off-ball, on-ball linebacker type of a player. I'm not the biggest Jalen Walker fan when it comes to like him in the top 10. I think that's drafting him a little too rich, but certainly at the back end of the first round, excellent. Love it. Have zero problem with it at all whatsoever. Ravens at 27.
I mean, there's edges.
There are edge rushers here. Let me see. Who? I'm trying to remember exactly what their secondary looks like now. Okay, they signed Chidobe Awuzie. They don't have Brendan Stevens anymore. They still have TJ Tampa. They have Nate Wiggins. Okay, they're good in the secondary. I don't need to think about that. Edge rusher, you've got Kyle Van Noy. They still have David Ojabo. They still have Odafe Owe. Oh, yeah, they drafted Adiza Isaac as well.
Oh, yeah. Another Penn State guy there.
I liked Isaac. Yeah. Could go Donovan Jackson here.
Ooh. Immediate start at guard. Maybe tackle. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah. I think I like that the most. Let's do Donovan Jackson here, because I think he starts at guard for them immediately. If Roger Rosengarten gets better and he can play a little bit more powerful moving forward, then I think you feel good about that. He can stay at tackle, and Donovan Jackson can stay at guard for you, or you can view Donovan Jackson as somebody who might be able to kick out the offensive tackle for you. So we'll go Jackson. We'll go Jackson there at 27. I thought about Matthew Golden. I really did. Really did. Because as much as like I like Rashad Bateman, as much as like, okay, I understand DeAndre Hopkins is on the team, Matthew Golden, in my opinion, is wide receiver 2 for them.
Yeah.
So
I
thought about
it with that.
I thought about it. But Donovan Jackson, I'll go with Jackson here.
Right. The Detroit Lions, typically it's kind of default to edge. Question is, who is that edge? I think, because I mean, this is a team not with a lot of holes. It's a Super Bowl caliber team. I think defensive interior, if it's on the board, it could be an option with Aleem McNeil probably going to be missing the first half of the season. So if you want to get another guy in that rotation and also kind of set yourself for the future after Reader's gone, might not be a bad option. I'm probably going to go with Mikael Williams here.
Okay.
Because immediately someone that could come in and stop the run and develop him as a pass rusher. He brought back Marcus Davenport, who is pretty good when he's on the field. Problem is he's never on the field. So, yeah, I feel good about that.
Okay. All right. Michael, I think that certainly it depends on how they want to structure their defensive line. If they want more of like a guy who they think could win one-on-one a little bit more as a pass rusher, maybe you're drafting a James Pierce, maybe you're drafting a Nick Scorton, somebody like that. But if you want somebody who's going to be able to hold the line of scrimmage for you and really free up Hutchinson on the other side, that's when you start to think about That's when you start to think about guys like Michael Williams or Shamar Stewart or like players like that. And Shamar Stewart could also be an option.
Fascinating where he goes
here for Washington. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'll go Shamar Stewart because I don't even like the depth options that the Commanders have at edge. I'm tempted by like Maxwell Hairston or Trey Amos because they bet on Marshawn Lattimore, but I felt like he struggled last year. All that to say, yeah, let's go Shamar Stewart. He's still immensely talented. Somebody that I think that you're going to take a chance on somewhere in the late first, early second round range. Him or Scourton, it kind of just depends. And I feel like they would gravitate a little bit more towards Shamar Stewart's side of things. So maybe that influenced me a little bit here. But I have both of those guys right next to each other on my rankings. So it's kind of a coin flip there.
Yeah, I wish Scourton would have tested out. I would love to see what he would have been at, because he was at what, 257 at the combine?
He was a lot lighter than what his listed weight was at like 275, 280 or whatever it was.
So I was like, I was very curious to see. For me, I think the Bills have to go corner here, just because I think there's going to be that corner run in the early to mid second round, and you're just going to miss on it by your next pick. And maybe you could get like Azarie or Porter. Those could be options back there, or maybe one of them fall, but I don't know why risk it. Matthew Golden's interesting, but I mean, they brought in Palmer. They spent money on Palmer. So I just feel like I don't want to further invest. And you also got Coleman from last year. I like Harrison as a fit. I think I might like Amos a little bit more, just a little more meaty. I like guys like Revel and Morrison, but coming off of injury and stuff.
Yeah. Those guys play a lot of like press man stuff too, and like Buffalo doesn't really do a lot of that.
I think I'll go with Harrison.
Harrison's the better scheme fit, I think. Even though I have Trey Amos ranked higher on my board, I think Harrison's probably the player that fits more of how the Bills like to run zone coverage with a lot of like cover 3 stuff, but specifically like a lot of quarter stuff. So I think Harrison does make sense for them at 30. Chiefs, did anybody? Oh, could we get spicy here? Maybe. Hold on.
See, the Chiefs fans like getting spicy. They hate getting tackle with this pick because they don't believe in their ability to develop a tackle.
Okay, I might get spicy and shout out my guy here.
Do it.
I think I'm going to go with Omar Norman-Lott here, the defensive tackle from Tennessee. He is the pass rushing interior defensive lineman that I think the Chiefs and a lot of other teams could be missing outside of their star passer. Obviously, they have Chris Jones, who is great, but like you're surrounding him with Mike Pennell, Jerry Tillery, Marlon Tuipulotu, Siaka Ika, like Fabian Lovett. I mean, Omar Norman-Lott is immediately the next best pass rusher that you have. And if I have faith in anybody who could really understand sort of the substitutions and the lack of run defense snaps that Omar Norman-Lott had while he was at Tennessee, but they put him in those pass rush situations, which he was a monster at.
Yeah.
It is Steve Spagnuolo. So I think that they can align Omar Norman-Lott and they can get a lot out of a player like this, full pun intended. So I'll put him next to Chris Jones, and I'll go with O&L for the Chiefs here at 31.
Nice. I like that. Shouting out your guy. I was on the simulator just yesterday, and I was like, oh, did he just adjust his big board? I was like, Omar Norman-Lott, holy crap.
Yeah. And it's one of those where you just kind of, it is funny, like prospects ranked from, I would say 20. I would say this, prospects ranked 5 to 20 are very interchangeable in a lot of ways. If you told me that my 17th ranked player was actually your 7th ranked player, I'd go, okay, I could probably see it. And then I would say rank 20 through 60. It's very similar. It's very similar stuff. So with that being said, and I watched another full game of Omar Norman-Lott, I loved him when I first watched him. When I first watched him, I put him in my like top 30. I moved him down a little bit just because I was like, I don't think the league's as high on him. Maybe I'm a little bit more skeptical about him as a 3-down defensive lineman. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, dude, even if he's just a pass rushing interior defensive lineman, he is so physically gifted. His numbers and efficiency metrics are so good. This is so valuable. Interior pass rush is so valuable. So I think I'm going to be the highest on Omar Norman lot of anybody. And I'm just kind of taking my chance here and saying that even if he isn't a 3-down type of player for you, the value that he could bring when he's on the field is worthy of a late first round selection, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, even if it's just, okay, he's coming in and putting pressure on the passer. Okay.
Consistently.
That's something there. Yeah, right, consistently. Right. Yeah, because he has the best win rate in this class from the interior, right?
I think he does, because his win rate was like, what was it, 18.9%. So it was almost a 19% pass rush win rate. That's got to be best of any of the interior defense.
Yeah, that's a wild number for an interior pass rusher.
Yeah. Well, Derek Harmon's was close. Yeah, Derek Harmon's was close.
He was 17.
17.6. But like Kenneth Grant, 9.4. Even Mason Graham, who I love, he's like 13.8. Walter Nolan, 10.9. I mean, Omar Norman Lott is way higher than all of these guys.
And I mean, those aren't bad pass rushing. Like
no.
That's the thing.
Yes. I think that's a good shout out by you there. Yeah.
You went with the my guy. I think I might go with the my guy to wrap us up here. Denver Broncos. You won't get a pick in here. I imagine it's going to be a running back or a quarterback.
Yeah, I would take, if I was them and they're picking at 34, you're basically trading all the way back to 34 and you're still getting yourself Omarion Hampton. So celebrate, jump for joy. Yeah. You'd probably been good with drafting him at 20 and instead you get him at 34 and you get the extra picks to draft the same guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's a world I could see where the Browns could go with them there.
Potentially, yeah.
But Nick Chubb's out here squatting 500 pounds again. I think he might be getting that call. So I'm going to go with Kevin Winston Jr. for the Eagles.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I liked him at the beginning of the year. Obviously at the beginning of the year because he played a game in like a half because he had the part. That's wild. He played with, I think, that partially torn ACL.
He did.
It was like, you know what? This doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
But his 2023 tape's really good. You could argue that he would be up there with Malachi Starks. I was kind of there at the beginning of the year. I was like, okay, so we got 2 first-round safeties in this class. And we just forgot about him. He got hurt early and was just not heard of since. But they traded CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yep.
I know that they have Sidney Brown there, but I think he had the ACL injury a year or so ago. Hasn't been in the lineup a ton. So Winston, I feel like, is that dude that could come in and will come downhill and make plays for you. Didn't miss a tackle at all back in 2023. Or I think the one he did miss was a special teams tackle. Regardless, phenomenal player, and don't really know what much else to do here for the Eagles. Like Matthew Golden's like, it's tempting, but am I going to take wide receiver 3?
Yeah, I like the idea of them drafting wide receiver 3, but it feels like Eagles fans always yell at me when
they always do.
I think they'll like Kevin Winston Jr. better here in this mock.
Yeah, we don't need wide receiver 3. We have Jahan Dotson, former first round pick, Jahan Dotson.
There you go. That's true. It's very true. Can't take that away from him.
That's right. So there it is. There's the mock draft. And hey, a lot of interesting picks.
This is fun. Yeah, this is a very different mock in a lot of ways. So this is fun. This is a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, never know what's going to happen in the NFL draft. So just opens you up to different possibilities. I felt like last year, no matter what, I wasn't prepared for Atlanta taking a quarterback. Hopefully we're better prepared this year for that kind of crazy stuff to happen. But thank you for joining me, Trev. You want to go ahead and shout yourself out? You deserve it.
Sure. Thanks, man. Sure. All the work that I'm doing over at pff.com. If you guys have a PFF Plus subscription, you can go download the draft guide. We've got like 200 prospects in there, all the strength and weaknesses, the PFF data, the player comps, the scheme fits, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, if you guys want to run a mock draft for yourself, go over to pff.com, use the mock draft simulator that we have over there. Like Broshmo said, we're sort of like still tinkering a little bit with the rankings all the way up until draft day, making sure those things are solidified with my big board, the way that I see them for the 2025 NFL draft. And then if you guys, after, of course, you listen and watch the fine videos that are on this channel, if you want to come over to the NFL Stock Exchange, myself and Connor Rogers, we're talking NFL draft over there as well. But dude, I appreciate you having me back on. I'm glad that we could make this happen. This is a ton of fun, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And quick little shout out, 7-round mock draft live stream on the NFL Stock Exchange channel.
This Saturday starting at noon. It's gonna be fun, man. I know that people aren't gonna sit around. Maybe people are gonna sit around and watch all 7 hours of it, but just whenever you're sort of like, if you ain't doing anything on a Saturday, pop in the chat. We'll have some fun. We'll recap the picks. It'll be a good time, and we're doing it for charity as well. It's Connor and I are going to be picking 2 charities that we really like and we want to donate to. So we'll be donating some money to that. And anybody who gives any sort of like super chat or donations or anything while we're doing the live stream, they'll go 100% of it will go straight to splitting between those 2 charities. So we're gonna have a good time. Good time with the 7-round mock draft. Good time raising some money for some good causes. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Awesome. But as always, till next time, be easy, my friends. Later.